We live? Oh, great. Um, hey guys, my name is Nina Means. Sorry if you were waiting with us for a couple of minutes. I, for some reason, did not. We didn't get that one, but we're glad to be here. So if you're watching us kind of stare off into the distance, no worries. Wanted to just get a chance to catch up with you about some things here that we have coming up. We are getting started with our Macy's series here this week. It starts on April 13th. This is a really great time for us to connect authentically with our audience, as well as helping you decide whether or not you're ready to start a fashion label. So one of the questions I get asked quite a bit is, what does it take to work with us in terms of like what audiences do we serve? Who comes to us? What do they ask us for? So what we do, and this is something that wanted to kind of take a minute to explain the Fashion Incubator briefly, because we only have a couple of minutes here today. As the Fashion Incubator here in Austin, we were actually asked to do two things. One is they asked us to be a resource hub and builder for small business for fashion brands specifically. Then, which makes perfect sense, Fashion Incubator, we work with small early stage brands. But the second thing is on workforce. And so as a part of the Austin Community College, we really take a huge stand in terms of workforce development as well. And so we've created programming to back that up. And so if you look at us, you may feel like there's a lot of things that are happening here, but I'm not sure exactly how I should work with you. And so I wanted to take a second to unpack for you who are the different audiences that we serve and for what kinds of programming. So in broad strokes, we have two primary groups. One are brands, so they're students of ours, brands. You come in from the community, some of them may be coming out from the associate program. We get a lot of people who are creatives locally and sometimes not as locally, who will even go so far as to move. We have 3 of our 5 brands that are here in our incubator for this cohort that actually moved to the Austin area to work on building their brand and work here at the work on their brands at the Fashion Incubator. So we draw brands to this area as well to be able to help them grow and develop what it is that they're doing. So there's three of those brands do that. We also serve industry. And so industry is really one of those things where we're getting a chance to connect with people who are already in the business, but maybe working analog. And so you may be connecting with brands you may be working with brands yourself, or you may be working on your own business. I've seen people who do like cross-industry kinds of projects, medical, technical, technology, variety of different organizations, and that industry will find support with the Fashion Incubator for things that are relating to soft goods and things of that nature. Sorry if that was a little confusing. But the two buckets are brands and industry, small business and workforce. So the areas that we really look at kind of what our ideal client is in those different spaces. First is our Macy's, the virtual series, The Future of Fashion. That is the client for that particular course or that group of courses is really focused on, I have not started a company yet. I've not started a business yet, but I'm really curious about fashion. And I think it may be in my future. I'm not sure what it's going to take. And so I want to learn kind of that early stage self-discovery space. And so if you're trying to figure out if this is something that really makes sense for you and what your next steps are, the Future of Fashion is really the best place as a customer or client. It's a free class, so you just sign up and you get a chance to sit with various industry professionals. You hear from Macy's directly starting this Wednesday on how to start a fashion label and the entrepreneurship, the time and sacrifice it takes to create a business. So it's really important before you kind of look into these other spaces. So The next area that we serve, the audience that we serve, is for these early stage kind of conceptualized fashion brands. They may have come up with a general idea of how they imagine reaching their customer, what they'd like to see happen, the kind of product they'd like to work on. They may have identified some early stage resources to be able to start putting those ideas together. They may have been kind of in the midst of more customer discovery and testing those ideas, and testing what's really needed in order to effectively create their brands. And that those people are really prime for what we call our true incubator. So the designers in residence program is really focused on really like what is in an incubator, like who is going to actually gain traction and build product with us, and be able to kind of commercialize those ideas. The last group, though, is going to be really focused on brands that have been around probably for 2 to 3 years. These are brands that are really looking at how do I accelerate my brand. And so we've talked about this before. We've kind of outlined it a bit on some of our LinkedIn posts. But this accelerator space is really for brands that are a bit more established. Some of them have been around for longer than 2 or 3 years, but they're still in that space of early traction. Sometimes we've been working on things for a while. We're not sure why they're not working. The scaling space is really where we connect you with higher industry mentors who have grown brands from early stage to exit. And we really help founders understand what it's going to take in order for them to get over that hurdle. Some of that is going to be a part of, introducing product globally for the first time through some of our other programming, like ATX plus Egypt and some other programs. But it's really important for us to get a chance to kind of break down the differences of who's showing up in these different spaces. Some people will kind of look at us, like, oh, you're an incubator, so I might be too advanced to be a part of this. However, we're the only fashion expression for small business development here in the city of Austin. And so we've opened up our doors a bit in terms of how we manage our life cycle of brands that are being created here. So early stage from self-discovery, kind of the conceptual creative that joins us at the designer in residence program, and then a brand that is a bit more established and a bit more aware of what it is that they want in the accelerator, where it's a bit more intensive, it's pushing you out, it's scaling your company, it's giving you a bit more access to other resources that would allow you to do that. A lot of that happens with, additional buyer potential and things of that nature. And so we try not to be too specific because every brand needs something different. However, we do try to make sure that every brand gets connected to mentors that are going to help push you to the next level. The second area that I know that I mentioned before, that's kind of our brand area. Underneath that is really where we're working on workforce. And workforce is really about professional development and being able to help you skill up. That's something that we talk a lot about at ACC, and how important it is for brands who work professionals specifically, who have learned how to work in fashion. I was part of that. How to work by hand. But there are a lot of companies that I worked at that 80% of our work was being done in the computer, whether it's sketching or rendering computer-aided design, or communicating with factories, or using various software platforms to make sure that the product got executed as it was required to specifications. And so all of that stuff is happening all the time, but there's quite a lot of designers who've never had access to these resources and are very much unsure of how to work with companies remotely, effectively, profitably, using these platforms. And so it's our goal to get a chance to connect you with these resources through our technology platforms so that you're prepared. You're prepared to work in the way that our industry is going in the future. And so as we're looking at what's possible here, our commitment to industry and our commitment to professional development will always take place under our workforce education series. And so I've had some designers come to us and say, hey, I've worked analog. I've done a lot of different things by hand. I understand how to, build the patterns by paper. I've just never digitized a pattern. Or, I've done a lot of work with Excel, with tech packs. If you're in our business, you know what that is. But if someone wants me to use product lifecycle management software, I have no idea what that means and where I put in, the things that I've done normally through like Microsoft Excel. So these are all things that are helping us to bring up the new designers, also helping designers who've been around to use these tools effectively. We work from home a lot. There are a lot more hybrid options available. And so being able to do these things are even more critical than they were before. So as we're looking at, the kinds of people that we serve, our mandate was huge. We've been asked to do a lot of work. And in order for us to serve the scope of our mandate, it's really been crucial for us to create a variety of different kinds of programs. And so I wanted to take a minute today to kind of peel back the layers and make sure that everyone knows, like, where do I fit in along this spectrum? And do I fit here? Is this something that I can use? The last bit of industry that we serve is really about, as much as we want to see designers skilling up and using technology, we also help businesses integrate these technologies into what they do. And so sometimes we'll work with companies who are expanding a product line, or we work with companies who are, doing research and development for a new product, and we will introduce them to these various softwares that a lot of our students are learning and taking. And then it kind of becomes a bit of a matchmaking, right? We, help the technologists, we help the companies, adopt some of these things, and then we connect them with workforce who's ready to go to help support that. And so all of this is ecosystem building. We are definitely, my job is really about market build here in Austin. And so, we do a lot of work with our government. We do a lot of work with our internal stakeholders at the college to be able to bring these things about. And so just so you guys have an idea of, how wide the scope is, typically as an incubator, you'll get one of these and one of one designer in residence program, one fashion incubator, one incubated space. But this particular mandate is, a bit wider than that. And so we're really pleased to be able to bring this to Central Texas. The need is there, and we're seeing the needs being met and people finding us, and us reaching out and finding our customers as well. But there's so much more to do, so much more work to be done. So I kept trying to tell myself I was going to make this a little bit shorter. I will make it shorter next week, but it's so important for us to be able to share with you what it is that we do, why it is we do it, who we serve, so that we can do that even more effectively going forward. So thank you so much for joining us on our journey. This has definitely been an evolution of development, understanding our market, and really serving our market more effectively here in Texas. My name is Nina Means. I'm the director here at ACC Fashion Incubator. And if you want to hear more about these various topics, send us a quick note at fashion.incubator@austincc.edu. We would love to get a chance to answer some specific questions you may have regarding these programs, and be able to use that as kind of our topics for future coffee talks. But I think that one of the things that we haven't done that I'd like to do is to have a little bit more of that, audience engagement in terms of, following up those conversations of what it is that you would love to know from us. We will continue to provide this. I'll show up every Monday at 10 a.m. Central, so you can join me, at your respective time zones. But we're really happy that we've been able to do as much as we have done. We've got a lot of work to do, a lot of refining to do. And we're looking forward to the challenge. So anywho, definitely send a quick note. You can send it to our email, or you can follow us on our handles at ACC Fashion Incubator. And guys, this has been Coffee Talk. I think we've had enough today. Thanks so much for sticking in, and we'll catch up with you guys soon. Take care.